Well, welcome to the special edition, Wrestlemania edition of the Three Village Geeks podcast, minus one geek, but we'll get back to him. I am PS Rocket.
Jedimorton.
Glad to be with you today. So we got exciting things on the horizon. I wanted to make this right around the time when we had everything confirmed on what the card is going to look like for WrestleMania. And I think, in general, we probably have an idea of what the card is. As of right now, where it stands, we are sitting at 14 confirmed matches for WrestleMania 35. So what I want to do is kind of give you a run through of every one of those matches on the card. We'll get our opinions on it if we're interested, if we don't really care, and then we'll give you an outcome. Does that sound fair, Martin?
I think that's perfect.
Okay. So let's give some credibility to at least me and you, because there's a reason why our buddy Worth is not joining us today. He's not a big wrestling fan. He was kind of a Miles fan back in the day. Us, on the other hand, so we are wrestling fans. And I'll tell you this, I watched wrestling, obviously, in the 90s. That's pretty much when everybody watched it. And towards the early 2000s, I kind of faded away from it, lost interest in it, moved on with my life, revisited it probably back 2007 and beyond. So there was a small gap there. I call it the first Brock Lesnar era.
Okay.
That was the time where I stopped watching. When he came in like 2003, 2004, that's when I stopped watching. And like the early John Cena era.
So post-Attitude Era.
Yeah, absolutely. So post-Attitude, after the invasion, the so-called WCW invasion, that's kind of where I was like, I'm done with wrestling. Not for any particular reason, I just stopped watching it. So, but from hence on, I've been a fan of wrestling. I watch it casually. I try to keep up with it, but definitely entering WrestleMania season, you're always super hyped for it. It only comes once a year, and it's very exciting. So, excited about WrestleMania and getting back into it.
Mine is more of the AWA late 80s area, rolling up into the WWF at that time, now known as WWE, and the WCW. My dad and I were always big wrestling fans, so I started watching it late 80s, early 90s, and I've been a fan ever since. I've been to WrestleMania 17, where you had The Rock versus Austin, and you had Austin join up with Vince McMahon at that WrestleMania. And then WrestleMania 25, which both have been in Houston, and you saw The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at that WrestleMania, which to me is probably one of the top 10 greatest WrestleMania matches. And then more recently, WrestleMania 32, not necessarily the best WrestleMania, but the NXT takeover was pretty good.
Yeah.
And also the women's match kicked off the current women's era.
Absolutely. And if you're keeping track, that's Morton at 3 WrestleManias and me at 0. I've never been to WrestleMania. Embarrassing to say, I've only actually been to one a live wrestling event. I went to a SmackDown last time I was here in Houston. Some random SmackDown. And I enjoyed it. And then I started wondering, like, how come I don't go to these things more often? They're really awesome. Like, a live show is something you got to experience. So to be able to experience WrestleMania 3 times, I'm a little jealous. So let's go through the card. We're going to start at the bottom, and I'm purely just going off of Wikipedia because this is not the order that they're going to be presented to us. But let's just take one card, one match, go up the card, and let's take a look, and we'll give you some thoughts on what we think about the particular match. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.